The Varroa mite is just this relentless pest for any beekeeper. So today, we're going to dive into one of the most effective organic treatments out there, formic acid. And we're going to get specific. We'll walk through the slow evaporation method, step by step, so you can use it safely and get fantastic results for your colony. So let's dive in. It's the constant challenge, isn't it? Trying to find something that's really tough on the mites, but is also gentle on your bees? Well, believe it or not, formic acid, when you use it the right way, can be exactly that solution you've been looking for.
All right, here's the game plan. We'll start with a quick look at why formic acid even works. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty. Prepping your gear, getting the acid concentration just right, figuring out the correct dose, applying it with the slow method, and, this is a big one, making sure the weather's on your side.
So let's kick things off with the basics. Look, formic acid can be an incredibly safe and effective organic treatment for Varroa. But, and you gotta hear me on this, that's only if you follow all the procedures to the letter. No shortcuts.
Okay, if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, let it be this. Formic acid works because it's powerful stuff, and that means your safety and the safety of your bees has to be priority number one, always.
All right, let's talk prep. Before you even think about cracking open that bottle of acid in your hive, there are two things you absolutely have to get right: protecting yourself with the proper gear and making sure the acid itself is at the perfect concentration.
Your safety gear, it's completely non-negotiable. We're talking heavy-duty protective gloves and a good mask that covers your nose to protect you from the fumes. You have got to avoid any and all skin contact. Why? Because this stuff is corrosive, and it can cause some really nasty chemical burns. Seriously, don't take any chances here.
Now for the acid itself. The formic acid you buy from a supplier is often this super potent 85% solution. And let me tell you, using that directly in your hive is a huge risk. It's way too harsh for your bees and could easily harm or even kill your queen. What we need to do is dilute it down to find that sweet spot, a concentration somewhere between 60 and 65%. That's what's going to be tough on mites, but safe for your colony.
So burn this number into your brain, 60 to 65%. That's the magic number. It's the target you have to hit before this stuff goes anywhere near your bees. Hitting this target is really the key to balancing mite-killing power with the overall health of your hive. The whole dilution process is actually pretty simple. First, you just check the label on your bottle to see what you're starting with. If it's that common 85% stuff, well, you know it absolutely has to be diluted. From there, you just need to carefully add the right amount of distilled water to get it down into that target 60-65% range.
Okay, so your acid is at the right concentration. Perfect. But now for the next big question. How much do you actually use? See, getting the dosage right is every bit as important as the concentration. Too little and it won't be effective. Too much and you could seriously harm your bees.
And here it is, the golden rule. It's simple and it works. You're going to use 2 milliliters of your prepared 60-65% formic acid solution for every single frame that is completely covered with bees. Now, that's key. Not for every frame in the box, but only for the frames that are just bustling with your bees.
Let's just run through a quick example so this is crystal clear. Let's say you pop open your hive and you count 10 frames that are just packed with bees. You just multiply that number, 10 frames, by our rule of 2 milliliters per frame. 10 times 2, that gives you a total dose of 20 milliliters for that entire hive. See? It's that straightforward. Now we get to the fun part, the application. We're zeroing in on what's called the slow method, and for that, you'll need an evaporator. The whole idea here is to release the formic acid vapor really gradually over time. This creates a sustained treatment that's way more effective at hitting the mites throughout their entire life cycle.
And that sustained release is really the game changer. It's so much more efficient than just a single quick shock treatment because it's constantly targeting the mites as they go through their breeding cycle inside the capped cells of the hive.
And you've got a few options for how to pull this off. Beekeepers use all sorts of different devices. Some people go with a simple syringe and just soak a sponge or a thick wick. Others use these purpose-built top bar evaporators that you just place right on top of the frames. There are even side frame evaporators that hang down inside the hive just like a regular frame would. So, you're all set. You've got your safety gear, your acid is the right strength, you know your dose, but hold on, there is one final, absolutely critical factor to consider. The environment. You could do everything right up to this point, but if you ignore the weather, it could all be for nothing. The timing is critical. This chart lays out the 2 absolute deal breakers. First,
The outside temperature has to be between 10 and 28 degrees Celsius. That's about 50 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. If it's too cold, the acid just won't evaporate properly. If it's too hot, it can evaporate way too fast and really stress out the bees. And second, the hive entrance must be fully open. You need that proper ventilation. Never, ever restrict the entrance while you're treating.
And that really is the heart of it. All that careful work you did, the dilution, the dosage calculations, it's only as good as your timing. Choosing the right day, the right weather, is just as important as any other step in the process.
All right, let's do a super quick rundown of the big 4 takeaways. Number 1, safety first. Always wear your PPE. Number 2, concentration is everything. Dilute that acid to 60 to 65%. 3, get your dose right. 2 milliliters for every frame covered in bees. And 4, check the weather. Only treat between 10 and 28 degrees Celsius and keep that hive entrance wide open.
So there you have it, a clear roadmap for using the formic acid slow evaporation method. When you do it with care and you follow the rules, it is an incredibly powerful tool for keeping your hive healthy and thriving. So, what's your first step going to be in protecting your colony? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.